What exactly is the curse technique of Ryomen Sukuna? One of the great mysteries of Jujutsu Kaisen. Today we're going to take a look at the King of Curses and see what we do know about his technique and what we can find about his true power. The abilities displayed by Sukuna are brutally efficient in ending any confrontation. Even things as basic as cleave and dismantle already put him in the upper echelon of sorcerers in Jujutsu Kaisen. He shows no hesitation in spamming these abilities if his opponent can't interact with them. Dismantle Slash is so fast that only 2 characters in the entire series have been shown to interact with it. But what we do know about Dismantle is that it does have travel time. And while we've seen him use Cleave less than Dismantle, that's mainly because he doesn't really ever need anything but Dismantle. And Cleave is similar to Dismantle, but it's more of a one-hit attack than a spammable one. But that's really all it needs to be, because it adjusts to its opponent's curse energy. Then there's his Fire Arrow, but it really seems to be more of him just manipulating flames in general. While yes, the ability to cleave and blow shit up is real nifty and all, but that's vanilla, and this man's favorite hobby is cooking, so we're going for deep flavor here. What is Sukuna's actual technique? Well, first, let's talk about Sukuna's tattoos. These things first appear right when he gets incarnated for the first time. They appear on his body in the past as well. No other depictions of the mythological or urban legend figure of Ryomen Sukuna have tattoos like this either. I would be extremely surprised if his tattoos were not directly related to his curse technique, in a similar, albeit different way as Kenjaku stitches on his forehead. Tattoos were used in Japan's history as a form of punishment, and while it was in a time period much later than the Heian era, this could still be a reference to this form of punishment by Gege to denote his status as the Fallen. And it's not like we don't have 1,000-year-old sorcerers that heavily influence the world's practices already. But what we can gather is that his abilities besides Cleave and Dismantle are stored separately. And this gets us into the discussion about Sukuna's well-known status as a cannibal. This guy likes eating people so much he's willing to eat himself. We know that Urame was his personal chef, cooking up the best, most succulent shaman dinners. I don't really know how you get into that kind of arrangement with Sukuna, but I guess Urame found a way. Eating people is great and all, but you know what's even better is eating them and getting their techniques. We've seen him take a bite out of Angel like she was a Big Mac, and while we know that he can take on his original form anytime he wants currently inside of Megami, as of chapter 217, this seems to be an ability or shapeshifting independent of simply taking on his original form. And unlike with his Fire Arrow, he never says open and there's no symbol. My theory on this would be that if he does store people's techniques via cannibalism, the ability to shapeshift like this and use things like Cleave and Dismantle are likely innate techniques of his own. In Jujutsu Kaisen, we have 2 types of curse techniques: innate techniques like Boogie Woogie and inherited techniques like Ten Shadows. And the 6 Eyes are like their own weird thing. And Sukuna's technique is almost guaranteed to be an innate technique. It'd be kind of weird if he came from like a whole family line of cannibals. But he does have what looks like a mouth on his stomach. So this could be the same application of that, but one thing is for certain: he eats people. Cannibalism is almost exclusive to Sukuna, and while this could be a reference to demons found in Hinduism and Buddhism, I think it's tied to his curse technique in some way. Also, if this guy's technique is cannibalism, he would never be allowed in Jujutsu High. It would have been really awkward for Gojo if the technique that Sukuna etched into Yuji was cannibalism. Gojo has a dream, but I doubt Yuji fucking eating people is part of it. Then again, Yuji has been eating people since episode 1. Cannibalism is also reinforced by the usage of cutlery in the descriptions of Cleave and Dismantle. But the links to cannibalism are directly in your face, and I think that this technique revolving around cannibalism might be a red herring, at least partially. Let's go a little into Hinduism and Buddhism for a second here, and talk about Sukuna's curse tools. In one of his right hands, the Trishula, the weapon of Shiva, the god of destruction, and in one of his left hands, the Vajra, the weapon of Indra, the god of the sky and storms. This is not the first time we've seen divine weapons used by Sukuna. His Fire Arrow is eerily reminiscent of the Pashupatastra, the most powerful weapon and a celestial missile in Hinduism, said to be able to vanquish any beings and destroy creation itself. However, the god Indra is also implied to have used an arrow, one of thunder instead of fire, and used to strike down an ancient deity. So does Sukuna have a lightning arrow that he's going to use against Kashimo and make him cry like Jogo? The answer is yes. Yes, he will. So is that it? Is Sukuna's technique just 2 divine arrows and some meat cleavers? No, these are all just one part of a greater whole, and what I believe is a truly divine technique. Sukuna's formation of the Fire Arrow is similar to the Astra used by deities in Hinduism. The Pashupatastra, the Vajra, even the Trishula are all simply Astras of divine beings in Hinduism. Incredibly powerful conjured weapons and abilities. The Pashupatastra was just the most powerful one in Hindu mythology. There are many others. And this brings me to Malevolent Shrine. One of the primary uses of a shrine is to store a relic or a holy object, and this could mean that the tools we see Sukuna use are not actually tools at all, but simply an extension of his technique. And considering that domain expansions are usually related to your curse technique, I think we've only scratched the surface of the true applications of Malevolent Shrine. So far, we've only seen it incorporate his cleave and dismantle. The hand sign to form Malevolent Shrine is that of Yama, the King of Hell, who was once a man and became a deity. And this brings me into the narration of Sukuna. Not only do we have Sukuna's technique directly stated as being truly divine, Sukuna is literally being hunted by an angel. He has the iconography of multiple religions surrounding him. He bears striking resemblance to entities like the Asura, being called the Fallen or the Disgraced One by Angel, who hit him in the face with Jacob's Ladder, another divine technique, and now also has his own extra divine technique in the 10 Shadows. So who or what do I think Sukuna is? He's the stand-in for a demonic entity from multiple religions. Characters who are transcending humanity like Tengen are directly compared to him. Sukuna refers to Jujutsu sorcerers, humans, and cursed spirits as though he's something else entirely. And everything he does seems to be next level, because this guy might quite literally be living on a different level. Him being a sorcerer who was given a blessed technique that fell from grace. While Sukuna has many inspirations that are more direct than others, his character isn't a one-to-one copy of any of them, which rarely things are in Jujutsu Kaisen. And just like his character's origins having references to multiple religions, I believe his technique will be the same way. When Sukuna mentions the Yamato no Orochi, it's as though he faced it in the past. However, in Japanese mythology, the Yamato no Orochi was killed by the god Susanoo. But if, like I suspect, Sukuna's technique is an amalgamation of other gods' divine abilities or references to them, in Jujutsu Kaisen, Sukuna might be the deity that killed Yamato no Orochi. Gods and deities are also often used to explain natural disasters, and this also lines up with the statement surrounding Sukuna about him being a calamity. Sukuna is currently bodying everybody at 15 fingers, outside of maybe Gojo. Whatever Sukuna did in the past to gain the title of King of Curses and gain this much power, I believe that it costs him a chance at true enlightenment. As for his cannibalism, well, Sukuna bears a lot of resemblance to things like Asura and Rakshasa. Rakshasa in particular being man-eating demons. And if this is related to him having the powers of deities stored in his technique, well, unfortunately plenty of gods like to eat people. And given his powers, whether this is true or not, I do believe that Sukuna will be the final villain of the series. While a character like Kenjaku has done evil things, in his mind, his actions are probably the right choice. Kenjaku has really taken on the ends justify the means approach, whereas a character like Sukuna doesn't really have an end goal in mind, only whatever he feels like doing in the moment. The narration of Jujutsu Kaisen is really setting Sukuna up to just be an unstoppable villain. And where Gojo Satoru is the strongest sorcerer alive, Sukuna is shaping up to be a formerly blessed man turned transcendent demon of sorcery. The most overpowered techniques in anime are the hidden kind, and his has been hidden the entire series, and his hidden technique is a bunch of hidden techniques. Sukuna at some point is going to look like he's about to lose and then say open, open, open. And you should probably just open the coffins instead because someone's going to get bodied. So those are my opinions on what I think Sukuna's technique could possibly be. And I do believe that it will be a divine technique. He already has all the narration about being divine and literally uses the weapons of gods. It's probably going to be divine in some way. And I think that's an ability set that would just make for really interesting fights at the end of the series. And considering that Gege named Angel's technique after Jacob's Ladder, it would not surprise me if Sukuna's other open techniques are also named after divine events. At least partially. Before a character reaches true enlightenment in Jujutsu Kaisen, Sukuna is probably going to show them the true nature of Jujutsu. I'm not against him being a cannibal that stores other people's techniques, but that's just pretty predictable. But then again, Toby was Obito, so sometimes the predictable thing is what actually happens. I don't think we should get too hung up over each ability that he might store in his shrine, if that's where he's storing them, just yet. Because while the Trishula and the Zazra are very famous items, I suspect that at least part of his ability will be Gege's own creation, like most of his characters. But now I want to hear what you guys think about Sukuna's curse technique and what you think it's going to be. Because at the end of the day, theorizing about a series is a community effort, so let me know in the comments below. And if you'd like to learn more about the urban legend that inspired Ryomen Sukuna, and him potentially having a twin brother in this series, I will leave a link to a Reddit post below. And if you like videos like this, subscribe for more. And as always, thanks for watching.